Are you an entrepreneur that's always getting pulled in 12 different directions? Well, aren't we all? Today, what I want to discuss is who are the correct team members to be on a high growth entrepreneurs team. My name is Luke Turner, co founder of Moment Private Wealth. We help athletes and entrepreneurs get smarter with their money. Today, what we're going to talk about is how to know who should be on your team and how to know if they are the right people for the stage of business that you're in today. Let's dive in. As an entrepreneur, there's always going to be opportunities to either add people to your bus or take people off. The key is knowing one, who should be on your bus, and two, are they the right people today? So let's look at some of the most common people that we see putting on the bus for high growth entrepreneurs. So first and foremost, you can see on the right-hand side, you have Moment Private Wealth sitting at the center of your life. And then around us, we're going to surround ourselves with experts for the stage of business and growth that you're in today. So when we think about this, we really break it down in a couple of different areas. First, we have our banking relationships. And it's important to make sure that we have the right banker in place based on the situation that you're in. If you need to take out debt for strategic growth, that's going to be a different banker than going out and finding an investment banker who's going to go out and sell your business for you. Making sure that you have the right people on the bus in the banking side is going to be key because, as you know, cash is king and we got to make sure that we don't run out of business. We don't run out of cash. Correction. The next piece is going to be the insurance side. So on the insurance planning, the key is going to be breaking this into two categories. We have our property and casualty on one side, and then we have our life and disability on the other. Our property and casualty insurance is going to be key to be set up properly as you continue to increase lifestyle. So property and casualty typically is going to include home, auto, umbrella, renters, boaters, ATVs, other toys, making sure that we have the right protections if there's a loss on those assets, and then also make sure we have the right liability coverage. Because the reality is, as a business owner, you're going to be more susceptible to lawsuits. We need to make sure that we have the right protections and coverages in place if you were to be sued, that you're going to be protected. Making sure that you have the right people on the team from a life insurance perspective is going to be key. And as you continue to grow the business and as the business continues to get more and more complex, the life insurance needs are also going to get more complex. And making sure that you have people that have walked in those shoes previously is going to be a key to success. The next piece over here on the right-hand side is going to be our estate planning and tax planning. So first on the estate planning side, I want to make sure that we have the right estate planners in place that can help you both today and in the future. Most of the time when we see these documents get set up, we have core estate planning documents set up, which is typically 5 areas. We have our revocable living trust, we have our financial powers of attorney, our healthcare powers of attorney, we have our pour over will, which pours all of our intangible assets without a title into our trust, and then we have our guardianship for our kids. Those are great documents to get set up, but it's key to make sure that when there's a next level on the parking garage, that we have the right people in place. These are going to be things like irrevocable trust or protecting against estate taxes. For a lot of the business owners we work with, there's oftentimes a real estate or business entities that are involved, and making sure that those are protected properly from an estate perspective is going to be key. And then the last piece is typically tax planning. So on the tax planning side, making sure that you have the right tax preparation and the right tax planning in place. And the key is to make sure that you don't get those two things confused. Tax preparation is simply filing your tax return. Tax planning is actually going out in the marketplace and making sure that we are looking at both our present year taxes and our future year taxes and minimizing those taxes. That is very different than simply filing your tax return. And oftentimes what we find is that you've worked with a great CPA for the last 10 years, but as your business has grown, you potentially have outgrown your CPA or your accounting relationship. We need to make sure we get the right people in place. The last piece is from a financial perspective in the business. One of the most common things we see is that business owners have outgrown how they're actually looking at their KPIs and their accountants that work inside of their business. So think about this as a controller, a fractional CFO, or a full-time CFO. Typically, we see most businesses one step behind, where if they're using a fractional CFO, they potentially should be using a full-time CFO. If they're using a controller, they should potentially use a fractional CFO. If they have none of the above, they need to at least hire a bookkeeper or a controller. And for a lot of businesses, that's a step that can make a huge difference. So when we look at these different people, how can you know sitting at home today what types of designations you should be looking for your current team members? What I would tell you is if you don't have these members on your team, you should start to look at other avenues of getting the right people on the bus. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see the different designations that we recommend having on a team. So the first is every team should have a CFP, a certified financial planner. You should also have a CFA, which is a chartered financial analyst. That should either be through the firm you're working with or one of their partner relationships. The third is going to be a CPA, so a certified public accountant. This is typically who's going to be helping with the tax planning as well as the tax preparation. The next is a JD. So JD is going to be an attorney. This is going to be the person that's going to help with both the corporate legal and the estate planning. And then lastly is the CLU. The CLU is going to be particularly on the insurance side. What I would tell you is that the hurdle for getting your insurance license is not very high, but the hurdle for getting a CLU is fairly high and fairly complex. So if somebody has that designation, you can feel fairly confident that they have gone through the proper training and know not only the basics of insurance planning, but also some of the more advanced concepts. So if you are curious about your financial team and are wondering, are the right people on my team for the right stage, reach out below in the comments for a 15-minute introductory, and we can talk through your team and make sure that you have the right people on the bus for the right stage.